Hey everybody, I just want to welcome you to our Thrillshare session. I'm Darren. I'll just be helping Monika from our communications office here to facilitate today. Just please make sure you stick around to the end. I'll post that session 1 attendance form so that you can all get credit for being here today. So again, thanks for being here. Monika, take it away.
Good morning. I am so happy to be here again. I'm Monika Monk. I'm the Director of Communications in terms of public relations for the school district. And I first just want to say thank you to many of you who helped us with spring trainings to unleash, if you will, this new communications platform, which is uncharted territory for us as a communications office. We've decided to bite off a lot in terms of the availability of components within the platform Thrillshare. So I just wanted to break down quickly or give a better overview of the platform Thrillshare in and of itself. So AppDG is the company that developed Thrillshare, which is, again, the platform. When AACPS decided to go with using AppDG's Thrillshare platform, we decided to use all of the components that are available in Thrillshare. So I'm going to share my screen and just give a brief overview of what those components are. Okay, so again, AppDG is the company, Thrillshare is the platform. Can you see the purple and lime green screen? Yes?
Yep, we're all set.
Okay, great, cool. All right, and so the first component I'm going to talk about is our content management system, which essentially, as you already know, the district website has a new look, as well as all school websites. So that's all handled through our content management system within Thrillshare. That includes the websites as well as the live feed. That sort of looks like a social media feed, which is what it is. It's integrated into the websites. So it has those components. And some news features and school calendar features. So that's under content management. Typically, the staff members who have access to content management are all administrators and principal secretaries. At the district level, clearly it's folks by department who handle their particular areas on the main district page. The next component I'm going to mention is the automated contact system. It used to be known as ConnectEd, but now it's called Alerts. But essentially, it provides voice calls, text messages, emails for sort of larger audiences, if you will. So usually your larger school community announcements would come through the Alerts system. It does have the ability to make smaller group notifications within that. And so that's typically the way that administrators are used to communicating with families. So there's no real change in terms of functionality there. It does because we now have a mobile app, which is one of the components mentioned here. You can do push notifications also, which is a great added feature since it allows for translation. The other component is a newsletter feature. We wanted to make sure that there was an equitable way for all schools to have more functionality and more streamlined functionality when it came to newsletters. So that component is provided to schools. The individuals who typically have access to this feature are all administrators, as well as school principal secretaries, community school managers are the other typical individuals who have access to engage. One other point I wanted to make about Alerts is our bilingual facilitators also. This is a large place in which where they work with families is through Alerts. I mentioned the mobile app, it's sort of self-explanatory. It also is integrated with Rooms, which is what we're here to talk about today. Rooms was our first attempt, it's uncharted territory for us as a communications office to allow a feature where staff members can communicate in two-way fashion directly with families. We were hoping that would be an enhanced component to communication and another option for teachers especially to be able to communicate directly with families in a protected, more secure environment than some of the Google products. So I just wanted to give that brief overview. And again, I can't thank you enough for the trainings that you provided. It helped to really set a tone of enthusiasm as we relaunched, if you will, this fall, and preparing most of our teachers for this rollout, which is, again, it's going to be growing pains for us, but I thank you for being right there along with us, as, again, we hope to just enhance communication. I wanted to go over a couple of misperceptions at this point in terms of where we are with rolling out rooms. It is not a replacement of Google Voice. Google Voice is still an option, and for staff members who don't have rooms as an option, as far as I know there's been some discrepancies maybe in information that's been shared or what policies are, but as long as, your supervisors know what you're using to communicate with families, whether it be email, and that's what you want to stick to and not use other things, or if it is Google Voice, especially if you don't have access to rooms, those staff members, largely student services individuals, if they don't have access, those platforms are still available. So for us, rooms is an option that we hope you find convenient as a one-stop shop, with other components available and with future capabilities coming. So with that, I think I'll open it up for questions, and through that, we'll probably share some more information as we further the discussion. Is that fair? Or I can keep talking. All right, I don't see anything in the chat, and I don't see any hands raised at the moment. Taylor, about to read. Google Voice texting is allowed. I think so, but I'm not sure. I would double check with your supervisor. I think that's the best answer I can give for right now. And okay, are you working on getting student support services access to rooms? So yes, student support services, and again, any other staff members who do not currently have access, we are working on making sure that we have things up and running for the majority of our instructional staff now. We are about to enter sort of focus group feedback mode throughout November and December, so that we can further expand access in the second semester. So those student services individuals, whatever capacity or tools that they were using or have been using previously, especially to communicate with families, is what they should use until this becomes an option, which our goal is second semester. Will Thrillshare eventually manage high school websites as well? We are talking about that previously. So all the high school websites are under a different server and platform. That was largely due to making sure that there was some sort of instructional integration for if there were students contributing to the websites and so forth. But we may be looking at bringing them under the Thrillshare umbrella in the future, for sure. All right. So now I gotta scroll back up. Give me 1 second. All right, so rooms initially was not going to fall under OIT support. I take it that has changed. Not to my knowledge, Robin. It's managed by the communications office. Any support needed for you or for any staff member should come through our office. Happy to punt anything your staff needs. I know how much they rely on you and trust you to be the authorities in your buildings, but because this is not an instructional tool, and until you get further instruction from OIT, we're happy to support and do everything we can to alleviate any confusion with that. And I mean, we decided to roll this out, so we bear the responsibility. I will mention though as well that Apogee is absolutely wonderful when it comes to their customer service. If there's something you need immediate response to, we try to respond as best we can, but Apogee is quick to jump in a chat or on the phone and really work through any challenges or issues you may have. If they can't address it right away, they will definitely find a way to respond to make sure they're meeting your needs. It's one of the reasons why we chose the company, because of how excellent their customer service is, and we wanted to make sure that they could deal at very granular levels. So feel free to do that as well. Is there going to be a bigger push to families to download the app? I've been using it to contact parents, but majority do not have the app. So yes, in addition to the feedback mode we're about to enter, we purposely did a very soft, or even if you want to call it that, launch for students, like high school students. We made no effort to campaign right away for using the app because we wanted to focus on the adults. So we are going to do a campaign for more families and for students. Is there going to be a book push? So if I am interpreting this correctly, Thrillshare is just another option for communication. Teachers are allowed to use the medium that best fits them and their needs. Yes, again, principals are the authority for their school buildings. It's going to vary in terms of expectation. But yes, it's another avenue as far as we're concerned, another option to be able to provide for you to reach families. And again, I can't reiterate enough how it's more secure than most places. So it's a good option to keep you safe and your conversations confidential. Will we be able to make rooms for non-class communication, for example, for a school library? Eventually, I think, again, knowing the components that are available, it's best to consider what the right avenue might be to communicate or to share certain information. Could it be that you have a web page about your school library that you make sure is constantly promoted through the newsletter, or something else? Or can that be an alert versus a room by itself? Where are you adding the whole school? Or, there's things to consider, and use the different tools for their purpose, components for a certain purpose. We are having trouble with families getting an account, even after multiple flyers. I'm going to share this later, but and it also has been shared with principals a few times. Some toolkit for communicating with families, like with flyers and so forth. But we are again going to do a campaign, and maybe we can work on making sure that you have other suggestions for how to campaign for your families to download the app and get involved. Is there a way to communicate with families to check it regularly? I have 4 parents that look at the post regularly, so I still have to send emails to the other parents. But they should be getting the emails with the posts, so I'll have to look into that. But yes, maybe we'll work on. So I wasn't going to share this till the end, but here we are. So if you go to aacps.org/Thrillshare resources, and again, I'll put it in here. If this is a password protected page because it's meant for staff, just to have some resources available. We are building it as we speak, but there are some things there already that could be helpful. And so the password is resources1, and it is all lowercase. I'm putting it in the chat. So there are some things there that could be helpful, and we will build that up. So even with questions here today about more resources, this is where we'll add them. And eventually it'll have all of the components, but we started with the newsletter and rooms for obvious reasons, because those are the people who are using, more staff members using those components than others. However, a teacher would like to share photos of activities and fun engagements happening in the class. Does rooms fall under social media use? So yes, it does. However, I would urge teachers to just put, like, in their on their main sort of class page, where they sort of list the main information about their class, that they will post pictures from time to time to share happenings going on in the classroom, and ask parents not to share it beyond the classroom, because there's a expectation of privacy using the app to do that. Does that make sense? That would be my suggestion, but it does fall under that. But I think it's just always fair to make it clear to families how information would be used, even if it is in an environment where they've already given permission. All right. Some of the questions regarding your hours that you've committed to this will go through OIT, and so Tara will work to get those questions answered. Her team will work to get those answered, but we are fully aware of, the commitment you've given to helping us, and I do appreciate it. So if teachers come to you with rooms questions, again, I'm the contact in the communications office, the main one. We do have an email address, thrillshare@aacps.org. You can send it there. I'll be one reading them. So whichever way you want to get to me, I'm happy to help. But also anyone in the communications office could help. But I said I'll bite this one off and make sure that I take the lead on helping any way that I can. Will Rooms soon take over Class Dojo? Yes. If you're using Rooms and you're using the behavior feature, and I do believe Class Dojo is not supposed to be used anymore, then yes, it is the new Class Dojo. What if you not have that chat feature when on Thrillshare.com? I know, I don't have it sometimes. So I've been working with our help desk because I think that's internal, but so I have to call often. I know that that may not always be convenient in a school building, but they do have email and so forth. And if there's something I can do to help facilitate, I'm more than happy. I'm almost always online checking too. Is this resource page and password okay for technology service desk to provide to verified employees? Yes. Who exactly should families contact for help? Thrillshare support at aacps.org or me or Afterg. But yeah, it would be us first in terms of our families. I think I got through all the chat. That was fun. Let me see if I have a couple more notes. I think I don't know if I mentioned, I did mention, so, November, December, we're going to be working on just gathering feedback to keep pushing, belong, grow, succeed, Rooms as well, to make sure that it's in tip-top condition to proceed to add more staff members. And that will, again, include a campaign for more families to join and students. Thank you for the answer to Google Voice. My principal sent an email saying that texting on Google Voice is prohibited. I know that was back in August, and I know that there's been some miscommunication that has gone back and forth. Please see the county update regarding use of Google Text. While staff can use Google Voice, they may not use Google Text. I would stick to that, but I think that once there was an understanding that there are some staff members, not teachers, but who don't have access to Rooms. I don't think it was as clear as it should have been, that if they were using Google Voice and Google Text, then that's the option that they had. So our recommendation is going to be to use Rooms, but I can't override anything a principal has given you direction on. And since Google Text and Google Voice still exist as an option, I understand we have people using it. So what is the contact info, phone number, email address? I assume for me, or I'm not. If you're talking about me, but. Okay. I'm just going over all my notes to make sure. Anything anyone want to give feedback on now? Or nothing else you want to ask about?
I will say I've used the chat and I've called Thrillshare, and I will say I think someone actually just picked up the phone. I don't think I even got routed to a call center or anything like that. So if your families or even you just have a question about using Thrillshare, just not about access, obviously, but definitely reach out to them. I think you'll get an answer very quickly that way.
I did have an interesting question in the last session. I wanted to know if you guys encountered this. I had a teacher say that she's co-owners, which many of our cultural arts and other teachers are co-owners of a class, right, a room. So the homeroom teacher has their populated class, and then they've added their colleagues, but that they can see a direct message from a parent to another teacher, like to their colleague, the other co-owner. So they'll get a notice, hey, you have a message from a parent, um, but and then they'll go and see that it wasn't for them. They don't really read much further other than it might say, hey, Mrs. Johnson, and the message was for, Ms. Krogo, but right? So, and I'm wondering, I'm hoping that it's a notification or something setting that I need to address, maybe specifically somehow with that, then that if that's a larger issue, because it's a big issue if not. But anybody encountered that?
I'm a co-owner. I'm a co-owner on or co-teacher in a couple different classes, and I've never gotten a notification about a message the classroom teacher has sent. So I can see what I've communicated with individual families, but I've never seen anything that the classroom teacher has.
Okay, thank you. All right. For example, okay. Y'all coming in now. Hold on. Does the app have potential to change at all based on feedback? Nicole, you want to give me some more context with that? But yes, in general, Apogee has been very responsive when we've asked for maybe some enhancements and some updates. So they may not be immediate, but they are coming, or if they say it's just impossible, then, but we've definitely been asking for.
Sorry, my voice is going. In terms of like adding the points for students, it's multiple steps. Whereas Class Dojo, it was you click the student's name and you say what point you want to add. This time around, when you're adding the points, you have to click the student's name, then click add points, then click what you want to add points for, and then click add points again. So it takes it's extra steps to do that. And I think a lot of people are coming from Class Dojo and maybe enjoyed Class Dojo, and this gives the same option to provide the points, but it's a lot of extra steps.
Monika, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Yeah, so too many steps for behavior, but we have also talked about being able to maybe share those points according to a child's schedule, right? So for their whole instructional team to be able to see the points versus you guys having to be added, right? It'd be integrated somehow that way. So yes, something like that I can definitely ask for, and we'll do. Yeah, I'm taking my notes too. All right, let me go back to the chat and see what else. I think I lost some messages, but not have sounds with behaviors. But now they have added that feature. I select the student, then the point. Oh, Kim was providing some feedback. They didn't have sounds, but now they do. Or are you just sharing that with everyone so they know? And then, will it integrate with Canvas in any capacity? We have that question, and we're going to see. So it's on the radar, I guess is the best way for me to put that one.
There's a question from Natalie. I think that was back at the top. Will Thrillshare be used to post assignments in the future in the materials tab?
I would say no.
Yeah,
you get a brand new LMS. There will be, I would say, and I know we're wondering how we will integrate with Canvas. Not sure yet. I think that's a discussion that will have to be had. But in terms of acting as an LMS in any capacity, absolutely not. That makes sense. Thrillshare doesn't have its own LMS capabilities at all. I understand it has assignment features and so forth, but it would still have to probably be integrated somewhere. So maybe the integration is hopefully you could maybe see those things, but it's still, pivot back to Canvas, but it won't have any thing where a student's going to have to go there to get their work. It's informational in terms of Thrillshare and what it provides. Did I answer this? How do I delete a room you no longer want? Just unpublish it. You can't delete it. Nothing can be deleted from Thrillshare. It'll get archived, but just unpublish what you don't want. You can probably remove yourself though, April, from the classes. But you just don't want, and if you just don't want them to show up, I think they go away after a certain term, but I can look into that if that's also the question. With points for middle and high, would we be able to get students to have accounts? Because that would help for things like, so all students have accounts. It's just only high school students can access their profile and can communicate with families, if that makes sense. So even if you're using the points and you're presenting it on a screen to show the points, it would still be associated with the student. You can still apply it as long as your school says you can do behavior through your school. They can see it that way, but they wouldn't have their own, they wouldn't have a means to communicate two-way. We use Brightspace rather than Canvas and was wondering if Brightspace would continue to be used for posting assignments. So for now, until you switch to Canvas, yes. Our Aptitude rep said that they welcome feedback in spring 2024. Sounds were not an option in the behavior section. Enough teachers asking now. Oh, so you're giving an example of how they respond. So yeah, in terms of features that you like. So thanks, Kim. We were told we cannot unpublish a class. Okay, Katie. You want to tell me what you need unpublished or don't want to see anymore, and I can work on. Just send me an email, and I can work on doing that. Natalie, you'll hear more about Canvas when you attend the session, LMS session today. Can I come? All right, cool. Sorry for reading out loud. I don't like to miss stuff. So is there a way for middle school students to just get the point section and not the communication part? No, because we're not communicating directly with students at all. So like, the only way to do it is to present your screen and show what the points are, or it would be an extra step for you to create something for your students to be able to see. But we can't separate them in terms of them accessing an app that they shouldn't be accessing for their age group. That makes sense. Okay, I don't need anything unpublished, but I just want to have clear info to give myself. Okay. Yeah, and so this brings up the other point. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So for those students who are using it, largely athletes, and some high school teachers who have definitely taken it upon themselves to help their students sign up for the app, which I do really appreciate. If they're not using their AACPS email, I don't know, what practice or to what level that students are using them, especially the high school students. I would think middle school students aren't really using their email addresses. So that would be another reason why even trying to share the behavior outside of the communication wouldn't work. I thought I heard that sports are using Aptitude to communicate with students. Is this an option for clubs? At the high school level, yes. Only the high school level, because again, those are the only ones where students are able, and yes, it is an athletics requirement for the coaches to use rooms. So, but yes, it's an option for clubs. Teachers can create their own class and create the club and add the students. There is not a way to condense all classes into one, but you can send to multiple classes as long as clearly you're a co-owner of that class. But I do have merge feature on here. You have to look at the varying levels in which we would be merging students, so we have to figure that out, but it is on the list. My middle school does a lesson to teach our middle schools how to use email, but most communication definitely comes from parents with only a few students reaching out via email. Yeah, I think in terms of responsibility on our parts. We won't be having middle schoolers use a two-way communication with adults unless it's a requirement that you include the parent every time. And I know that's just a click, but especially because of the varying age level in middle school, I think it would be strictly high school students. And the only reason that any students, so even the elementary, have email addresses, right, is just for purposes like this of being able to connect them without. And so like their middle school and elementary school email addresses in terms of rooms are out in the ether somewhere. They're not connected to the kids in that way where they would actually get a message. Again, to protect staff and to protect staff. How do you make a room for clubs? Okay, I'll show you that in 2 seconds. At the elementary school level, can teachers create individual classes? I know the capability is there, but wasn't sure if that was approved. So I would say it is. I mean, they have access to the system. They can pick their kids. There's nothing really preventing you from doing that. And campus managers have access. I think the responsible thing to do would be to let your administrator know. That's it. But otherwise, yes. So I'm going to share my screen. I don't have a room because I don't have any connection to kids. I do have campus management access. And for campus management, it is the individuals who have access are all administrators, so principals, assistant principals, it's principal secretary, and it is, oh no, not the principal secretary, I'm sorry, athletic directors and athletic advisors at the high school level. But those are the individuals who have campus management access, which means that they can see all the rooms associated with their campus. I had these instructions up here because this will come into play if you have families who are looking for access. It's the easiest way to get them access is to give them the magic code to their students, and they sign up according to, if you go to aacps.org/rooms, it has the instructions on how to use the magic code to sign up. But essentially, that's how students sign up as well. They use their student email address and the magic code, which happens to be the same. So there are some small instructions here on how to download the magic code. This will also be shared on, it will be shared in the Thrillshare resources page that I shared earlier. There's a quick start guide for teachers on that page. It's a PDF. It does not include this handout information, but it will. I will add it in there real quick and replace the PDF. But all this information has been shared with principals, and we've asked them to share it with as many staff members as possible as a resource. But back to campus management. So in campus management, well, I'm switching to classes, which is what you'll see. You'll see classes, and then right here where it says all classes, next to it, it says create class. You would simply fill in the information, and you can add your students and create your club. Does that kind of answer it? Oh, but it's pretty simple. It's that simple. And then back to Lauren's question. I do have some folks who have already created class, right? Their chorus. So the music teacher may be integrated with all the other homeroom for their regular classes, but for a chorus, they've created their own room, and it's largely where they communicate. They haven't even published other things besides like their groups for those purposes. You are not permitted to share the Thrillshare resources page with anyone other than staff members. So this is strictly for staff. Of course, there's information on that page that can be shared with families, right? There's flyers and other info designed for them that you're happy to use as a tool. So that's why it's strictly for staff. And it's password protected because we don't want it to be found in a Google search. Is there a way to make posts to multiple classes for the materials section too? Some of our teachers post weekly updates there as well because parents don't want to check multiple platforms. Somebody else may be able to answer that before me, but since I don't have a functional room. Anybody know? Let me go see and look at in the toolkit. Oh, that's not it. When I go to do multiple, post to multiple for announcements. And did you ask about broadcast? Is that what it was? Oh, for materials. I don't know. I will try to get an answer to that question as soon as possible. Deprecate Erica. All right. What term do we pick for self-made classes? It should be I think too, if you use school year, you're good as well. But yeah, you can use full year. Do you see that as the option? You can either use full year or I think it's like 33 something. Yeah, full year dash 2025 should be fine. Do families receive different notifications based on if you send an announcement versus a broadcast? Not to my knowledge, no. They get something that says your teacher, well, you get the email that says teacher posted whatever, and it says what it's right there in the email, the body of the email, which means you don't even have to go to the web-based version of Rooms or to the app to see what the messages were. And that's for any of them. Okay. And so if you have, concerns from a staff member or a parent that they can't access Rooms or have issues with access in terms of being able to see their students' classes, they can see some but can't see all, whatever it is, you can shoot me a message, and typically I just need the name of the student and the name of the parent, if it's a parent, or the name of the staff member. We can get that resolved. All right. Just trying to think if there's anything that I covered previously, and I want to make sure that you at least know. This bunch is quiet. And so I take quiet to mean that you're all happy, and so you're all satisfied. And you don't need much, which is great. And so back to the multiple classes too, though. I do have a request, and I may have already said it, but again, I'm just trying to make sure I cover all my notes, that we are looking for some sort of merge feature that has more functionality than just being able to post to multiple classes. So we are looking into that and have asked for that as well. In addition, the Google Voice versus the Google Text issue, we've asked for a voice component for Rooms, and so we will see how that evolves. There's more issues in terms of adding that sort of feature, but we asked for it knowing that, to make sure that it is truly a Google Voice replacement if ever needed. Go ahead, Lauren.
Hi, this is just easier than typing. You mentioned that for semester 2, I know there's the plan to have all staff, I think I heard you say all staff have access to it, not just most staff. Yeah. Is that something that that's like slowly being rolled out now, and the goal is to have it done by semester 2, or like starting semester 2? If that question makes sense.
Yeah, starting semester 2.
Okay.
I think we will look. So here's my question. It's an internal question that we will also have, but I want to ask you. You guys are right there in the field every day. When it comes to teacher assistants, right? I've gone over this um, so many different ways, right? I know how valuable they are. I know, but I don't want to discount the amount of time educators spend on everything that they do. But in this communication component, that sometimes they do rely on teacher assistants, but it's my understanding that's like not a part of their role and their job technically. So I would like your feedback on the role of a teacher assistant using rooms, just in general. Yeah, anybody can speak up.
I think that it definitely depends based on the school. Like, I know there are some in my building that they're doing more than some of our special educators are doing while they're learning the role because they're brand new to it.
Mhm.
Not to throw shade at special educators, they're doing great, you know. But I definitely think that maybe giving the option to include those TAs and TSAs that might want to be involved because they are so closely involved with the students and they invest so much time into it to be added. So like adding their email so that if they want to be added to the room that they're working in, that's an option, but not automatically like making them a teacher, if that makes sense,
Mhm.
would be a
Yeah.
great benefit.
And I see somebody made a point about, for behavior points and so forth. And so from a legal standpoint is where I struggle just a bit in terms of responsibility, but I get it. So, we'll work to figure it out. But that was the only question largely when it came to expanding of how far do we go. And again, knowing that there are other components available for certain things. We'll talk it through some more, but I figured I'd ask you directly. And I figured it varied by school, but having the option, and you use it how you need to is fair. Go ahead, Lauren.
Sorry. When you mentioned the expansion for the second semester for the staff that will be gaining access, is that they will have access so that a classroom teacher could add them to a room, or is that they'll be gaining access to have their own room created, or a mix of both?
It's probably a mix, but we are, as you know, the largest reason why we decided to start with teachers of record because we knew that PowerSchool upload integration would be the easiest and the cleanest way. And again, it's the majority of who would be using it anyway, to get them going first. So now trying to figure out other technological integrations that make sense, that are convenient for staff as well as on our end in terms of upload and so forth and groupings. So there's a combination of things happening that I think will produce both of how we'll get the system up and running. But once you're in, again, as you know, once you're in, you can create your own class. They require manual monitoring, right? But you can. So
thank you.
And I don't think I can reiterate enough, though, too, like how much knowing the components, this is largely for principals, though, really knowing the components and how they should be used versus, we're going to provide some guidance on that, but versus just, hey, everybody have a room when, like, it doesn't make sense for me to have a room. I have no student association. Do I need to know how it works? Should I know how, but I don't have any direct, and I don't want the responsibility for accidentally messaging some kid or parent even that I shouldn't be. Like, that's just the truth. There's, protections that still, it's student information that we that are involved and that we should protect. But if I'm sending a message to a group of students on maybe it's a scholarship that has a certain demographic, right? I send that out as a group as an alert. There's nothing wrong with that. And knowing the difference of if I have a group that I'm perpetually communicating with versus some of the one-on-ones that I don't really do, balancing that. So just helping the administrators know the difference between the components and how they can be used, I think would go a long way too. All right, I don't see any more. Other questions? I am always just an email away. I mean, I'm still here.